recording. Again, good morning, everybody. This is the Academy for Program Coordinators. My name is Aria. I'm your host for this hour today, our first session of the 22-23 academic year. We will talk today about, and if this allows me to move, okay, we will talk about coordinators providing feedback in GME today. We tend to do these sessions based on what feedback we have received from questions that we see through the Facebook groups, listserv, whatever we can find, so that we can cover all these topics. And that way, you know, we all need this. Let me be honest, we all need this. And the reason I'm bringing this topic today is because we do provide feedback every single day. We might not know it, but we do provide feedback to everybody in our office in the GME space. Oh my God, this jumped really quickly. Give me a second, I'm sorry. Okay, so the objectives for this presentation are to understand why it's important to provide feedback, discuss the different types of feedback, determine how to provide feedback, and understand the process of providing feedback. And before I start, I wanted to, who is this crazy person who started posting in the coordinator group on Facebook about this academy? Who is it? Who is she crazy? She nuts? Okay. So I've been working close to 15 years in graduate medical education, starting in Puerto Rico with a pediatric residency program. So if anybody here from Puerto Rico, hola. I am very nerdy, especially in GME. I try to suck in all that information and absorb it. And I do a lot of research on GME stuff. Huge Star Wars fan. Again, I'm originally from Puerto Rico. I moved to Texas about 5.5 years ago. And the reason I have this, I'm a certified Myers-Briggs type indicators step 1 educator. And my type is I'm an introvert, intuition, feeling, judging. Again, same as the Master Jedi Obi-Wan Kenobi here. I tend to use a lot of Star Wars references. I apologize in advance. So let's dive in. Why we're providing feedback? Because this is a dynamic process where the senders, in this case, we put in the definition, typically the teachers and the receivers, to confirm positive behaviors. And you encourage repetition and correct negative ones by encouraging change. So the reason that one of the things we like about feedback is that it allows us to see what we can do better, what we need to correct, and it gives us room to growth. So let me ask you this: how has anybody been on either the sender side or the receiver side of feedback in the role that you are now as a coordinator? You can raise your hand, you can use the chat function. Yes, Linda.
Hi, Aurea. Yes.
Hey, good morning.
Hi. Yes, I have been on both sides of providing feedback. Certainly by my program director and my supervisors at my job, I have received feedback, but also I've given feedback to my residents, and I've been a coordinator for about 2.5 years now. So I'm still learning, but things have arisen where I felt that they needed my feedback in order to maybe discourage some negative behaviors.
Okay.
Only a very, very few, though.
Yes. So Linda and I work here in Fort Worth. She's a program coordinator for family medicine O&M integrated program at the University of North Texas Health Science Center, and here with the O&M program at Lake Granbury Medical Center. Good morning to you, Linda. Good to see you here.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Okay, Madison.
Hi, sorry. Yes, I've been on both sides. I'm a coordinator here in Kentucky. And I
Mhm.
actually just started this position last October, so I'm coming up on my 1 year. And so I had my first evaluation this past July. I'm just kind of going over like how I've been doing in this new position, and it went really well. So, yeah.
Good for you. All right, Joey. Did I say it right? Let me see.
Hello, I'm not sure if everybody can hear me or not.
Yes, we can. Did I say your name right?
It is, yes, it's Joey.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, I receive feedback. I'm an undergraduate medical education program manager. So obviously we get feedback usually on at least a monthly basis, just through our GMC ad hoc meetings, that type of thing. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Denise.
Hi, I give feedback when needed. And I've also gotten feedback, which I totally appreciate. I always think that we can always improve. So I always encourage feedback, but I don't like giving feedback, but I give it because I'd rather have them hear it from me than somebody else.
Oh, I love it. Oh, thank you so much. I got so many responses. Yes, Kimberly.
Hello, I am in Boston and I do fellowships. And so I've gotten feedback from my department leadership. I've gotten feedback from my manager. I've gotten feedback from program directors and also my fellows. Once a year we ask them, and sometimes I'll just stop and ask them what I can do better. And I've also given feedback to pretty much everybody that gives it to me, because how do we grow and learn to work to each other otherwise?
Yes. And that's one of the things I love about feedback. It allows you to grow, to learn from somebody who we think is smarter than us. Let me be honest. Some people we know they're a little bit smarter than us in certain topics. So it's good to get that. And I have so many comments here on the chat. I mean, and I concur with Jessica Oliveira. She says that sometimes it's not easy, but it's needed. Yes, feedback is, let me be honest, feedback is almost never easy. So, and oh my God, I love these comments. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I get giddy. So why feedback is important? First of all, is essential. It helps develop the talent. It gives the boost, that extra. It allows for improvement. It aligns the expectation, especially when you're a supervisor or the supervisor to you, and helps solve problems. So let me put this in perspective. When I was putting together this presentation, this is the first time I talk about feedback. Honestly, this is the first time I talk about feedback to a group. And I sought the feedback from two other colleagues who know more about this topic, and they helped me so much to get this presentation in the right shape. So, sometimes you don't need it, but you feel, I mean, you want it. So to ensure that you're going on the right track. And that's really important. So let's talk a little bit about peer-to-peer feedback. In this case, when you're talking with your colleague and you're trying to give them some feedback about certain projects, certain tasks. This is one of the trickiest conversations that you may have in your workplace. And the practice has increased in the recent years, especially after COVID, where we have We have been mostly working from home remotely. We communicate via Zoom, via video chat, emails and all that stuff. It's become more important. And people might not be open to the idea of someone in the same level giving them criticism, but sometimes it's needed. Let me be honest, sometimes it's needed. So when you try to do this, put yourself in that person's shoes, show empathy, and understand that you've been in that place, and let them know that you've been there, that you feel what they're feeling. It's not bad. It's just a way for us to get better. So let's ensuring that the conversation is positive and productive. When you're trying to do feedback, most of the feedback is scheduled for a meeting with your supervisor, you're supervising something. So first of all, prepare. There's never enough preparation when giving feedback. Ask for permission. Ensure that the receiver is okay with you giving them feedback. Use a passive voice. Let me be honest, for me, it's hard because I talk loud, and sometimes that comes out as you're screaming, you're mad, and all that stuff. No. Try to be a little more passive voice. Be respectful. Be clear and specific. Don't start with blah, 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 blah. No, this because of this and that. End of story. Again, show empathy. Tell them that you are in their shoes, and make sure that it's not a one-sided conversation, that they talk to you so you can ensure that they are understanding what your feedback is coming from. So let's talk about the types of feedback. We have the appreciation feedback, which can act as a motivator. It's simple as saying, thank you. Oh, you did great. I appreciate your help in this. Guidance. It's not just to praise member, but to guide them as well. And it comes in the form of suggestion for improvement. Encouragement. It's an excellent way to boost the morale, especially when somebody is struggling. The forward is the feedback that allows for people to look into the future and not fixate on the mistakes from the past. Interesting. The coaching is when we act as coaches. It allows us to help with planning strategies and help people see where they are in the team. The informal, which is what we use mostly, is that spontaneous form of feedback. It happens in the spur of the moment. The formal is the one that includes detailed information taken from work, allowing leaders, which is all of us, to give more thorough look at how they're doing. So, again, raise your hand in the chat. Have any of you worked with any of all types of feedback presented here? Okay, amazing.
Hi, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that my name still has my the iPad's name in it. But I was just raising my hand to say yes. Sorry.
Oh no, that's okay.
Thank you. Let me change the name.
No, that's okay. All right, who else? Joy, you still want to talk something? No, okay. Okay, Kimberly.
I have done most of these and I have received most of these. I think what you said about using a passive voice is important. I am loud and excitable by nature, and I have found that there are times when trying to give encouraging or helping, it gets taken the wrong way. And so that's really important to watch your I've gone back and apologized because of how I realized the person heard me and received what I said to them. So, and occasionally, if it's like in a, sort of informal and people are around, I will ask my other folks that might be there, okay, did I sound okay? Did that come out all right? Kind of a deal as well.
Love it. I love that. Ann Weber.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm a residency coordinator at Raritan Bay Medical Center in New Jersey, and I am the only coordinator up here. I'm internal medicine. I have 28 residents, and I find that I'm in a unique position here because number one, I'm the only coordinator. I have nobody else up here with me. I have no other support staff. So I find that I am not only their biggest cheerleaders, I'm also their mother. And I also do a lot of coaching, and my PD actually allows me to stretch my legs and kind of guide and mold the professionalism side of our residents. I'm a completely IMG program. So I have a lot of different cultures. I have a real big mixed pot of different people that I am very blessed to be able to work with. And things that are handled differently in different cultures. So to try to hone everything and kind of smooth any rough edges and maybe encourage people to use proper verbiage and proper attire. Sometimes I have to speak to somebody for something as major as a professionalism issue, or I may have to speak to somebody just because maybe their natural odors are not appreciated the way that they might be in other areas here. So I feel like my position here, I really do try to get involved, and I try to do a lot of coaching and a lot of guiding.
I appreciate all that you're doing, and you brought a good point here, where when you have lots of cultures in one place, how to deliver that feedback without them feeling insulted because you're not telling them something wrong. You're just telling them, hey, you're doing great, but if you could just do a little bit of this and see how they take it. Well. It's a good point. So thank you so much for that comment. And I have a comment here in the chat. Yes, it's receiving feedback is always hard for all of us. I'm not excusing myself from that part. It's hard for all of us. But then you're like, oh yes, this is great feedback. This is great information to know, and I love it. I'm doing well. So, oh my God. Yes. Caitlin, I'm gonna bring you to the spot. Can you elaborate a little bit more on your comment right now?
Sure. I can't come on the camera right now because I've got a busy background, but
That's okay.
Yeah, I think that us as coordinators really need to spend some time examining our own biases. And I was just prompted to say that, when we coach on professionalism and things, because sometimes what we consider unprofessional or something could be insensitive to their cultures or their way of life. And I just think that we all need to take some time to examine those things on our own if we're going to give that kind of professionalism feedback to our trainees or anyone in our lives, actually.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, Heather, thank you so much for sharing that link. I will send it through email and the Facebook group so that everybody, if just in case anybody misses it. Yes. And yes, we're the cheerleaders, we're the mother hens. And let me be honest with you, when I started this, I felt like I was their sister or their aunt because I was the same age. Now, no, now I'm their mother. All right. So, yes, thank you, Alicia. It's true because we're holding the gap and we have to make sure they're respected as well. So, perfect. So let's talk about what we need to avoid when giving feedback. And a couple of these things were brought up in both the chat and the comments. Biases that shape whom do you get feedback and on what. Delivering feedback in a way that makes it less likely for the recipient to absorb, including missing cultural and style differences, and imposing your own notions of performance, leadership, and talent on others, often shaped by your own experiences. Again, the background biases and dominant culture. Let's talk a little bit about this, since it was brought up in the slide before, and now we bring it again. Anybody else wants to comment on this? Again, feel free to raise your hand, use the chat, whatever you feel most comfortable with. This is a family, so Kimberly.
I find for me, a lot of it is age related. I remember when I started in medicine, I was the one on the young end and got the, can't believe how young you are. And now I feel like when I'm dealing with my trainees, sometimes I have to think about what they're saying, especially if it's something that comes in an email. And I find it's usually easier to talk to them.
Oh, yay. Did you have an appointment today?
I didn't quite understand what you meant by that. Can you tell me before I even think about, giving it, to make sure that maybe they truly don't know. And so before I tell them, that that's not how you do it, I just want to make sure that I understand what they're asking and it isn't a generational gap. Sadly, I'm very close to 50, and it does make a difference when you're dealing with interns and med students.
Yes, as the gap girls, it makes it difficult. Okay, I'm gonna bring Leanne to the spotlight. I love your comment. Can you elaborate a little bit more if you can?
Hi. Yeah, Kimberly actually echoed a lot of the sentiment of what I was saying, but I guess from this, using this tactic is just, again, just to give them a little bit of space to kind of explain their viewpoint or standpoint. And it also makes the conversation a little less attacky, or like chances of going that route, to give them some space to kind of talk first and be part of the conversation rather than me just talking at them.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So let me ask this real quickly. In your role as a receiver, not as a sender, but a receiver, how did you felt when receiving feedback? If any of these have happened to you? Yes, and Weber. Sorry, I'm reading the names as they're in the screen.
That's okay. I'm Nancy.
Okay, Nancy.
When I receive feedback, I've worked with my director for over 10 years. And we're close in age. He brought me into this position 6 years ago. So I still consider myself new. And with all the changes and the regulations and just the world changing every day, I appreciate the feedback. I think a lot of it depends on your respect for the individual that's giving you that feedback. And for the most part, I get very positive feedback. There's a couple of things, of course, nobody's perfect, and we can all use, a little softening and a little polishing every now and then. But my feedback usually comes back to my residents not doing what they're supposed to do, and it reflects on me. And then I get I go in and I say to them, you're not doing your evaluations. And when you don't do your evaluations, it reflects back on me because I don't look like I'm chasing you down. And I am chasing you down, and I'm wasting half of my day chasing you down to do evaluations that were supposed to be done 6 weeks ago. So I think a lot of it is, like I said, who it's coming from, and how you translate that, that energy. Like I said, we have a very positive vibe up here. We have a great culture going on. And I think it has a lot to do with respect. I have the utmost respect for my director, and I have the utmost respect, admiration, and love for my residents. So I think if you are in a good atmosphere, that feedback can come back in different ways. And never take feedback out of an email or in a text message, because there's no tone to it. You don't know how they're saying it. They could be saying, you need to do this, or they could be saying, you need to do this. There's two totally different ways. So as somebody said a little while ago, definitely a verbal conversation is so much more effective.
Awesome. I had Erica with her raised hand and I don't see it. Erica, would you like to comment?
Sorry, I put my hand down by accident.
Oh, that's okay.
Apologies. Nancy, I can totally, I was hearing you, and I remember I've been in residency coordinator, fellowship coordinator for 12 years. So when I first started, I was very offended. I was like, oh my God, I'm trying to help everybody here. So I used to take it very personal. And as I've grown, I've learned to just say, hey, this is a great opportunity for me to take it in. And if it applies to me, to work on myself. So any negative comments that came, that's how I started taking them. And as always, I've always taken the positive, and I've never became cocky when I received the positive feedback. It was just like, okay, be humble, keep on that track, and just remind myself how the residents and the fellows have been with me. But I think anybody receiving negative feedback, we do take it and we do internalize it. And to break away from that and just saying that's their perspective, not my perspective. And I know how hard I work, and I know I'm working crazy hours, 12 hours, 7 days a week. They don't see all that. So I've just learned to say, okay, thank you. I appreciate you letting me know. And I always thank them, because it is important for me to receive both positive and the negative. And then I just turn it around and say, okay, how can I better improve on myself?
Perfect. Kimberly.
So I have a pretty strong personality, and I'm not shy, and I don't mind, giving my opinions. And so I feel very strongly that I need to be able to take it. So pretty early on in my career, just in general, I've always asked for feedback. I still do it to this day. I don't get to meet with my PDs every week because I have 9 of them. But when we do schedule a meeting for something, I always try to make sure that I leave time at the end of that meeting to say, okay, so you need to tell me what I can do to help you, what I'm doing that you need me to do better. I think the only time I don't like feedback is if I've been meeting with somebody during the year and there's nothing wrong, and then all of a sudden on my annual review, it comes up as this huge problem, because then I'm like, but we've been meeting and we've been talking, and how can I take this as valid? This shouldn't be the first time I'm hearing about this, because if you're putting it on my yearly review, that means it's been an issue all year round. Mm-hmm. That's sort of how I look at it.
Thank you. Carolyn.
So a couple of things. First thing, Erica, I completely agree with your statement about thanking people afterwards. When you get your when they give you feedback, I think that that's always important, and it helps me to kind of thank them, and it kind of makes me stop for a minute and realize, like, I need to appreciate what they said. But I find that if it's some kind of if it's something I'm prepared for, like an annual review or something along those lines, even if it's negative, I am prepared to try to find a way to make it positive and to grow. It's when it's not expected that I have a tendency to overreact. So I have to kind of force myself to say, I really appreciate this feedback. If you don't mind, I would like to take a little bit of time to reflect on this. Do you have any suggestions that you would like to add while I'm thinking about it? Because if I if I try to react immediately, I feel like I overreact.
All right. Yeah, in everything that you guys said is true. And, I completely agree. And yes, there are times where, you get a feedback that you never expected, especially in an annual review. If you think, why didn't you tell me about this? Why let me start working on this from the get-go? And that way they can say in their report, yes, I spoke with a person, they were working on it, instead of just bombarding them with those comments. Honor.
So I sort of feel as an older, mature adult that I just wanted to follow up with, I think it was Carolyn's comment about kind of being a little offensive or defensive rather about feedback. And I have to say that after 30 years of receiving feedback, I have learned not to be defensive. So I think it's just one of those things that the older you get, the less you're offended by it, and the more you're just like, you're reflective and you're like, oh yeah, I get it. So give yourself a break. You've got some time.
I concur.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Anybody else want to comment? Or because I've been seeing this chat. Oh my God. I mean, it's amazing. So.
Aurea, this is Linda.
Uh-huh.
Hi.
Hi.
I would like to agree that the feedback can hurt my feelings a little bit, but if I step back and take a little time to reflect and not answer immediately, I can cool down. And with me, that's very important, because I can just fire something off and get myself into worse trouble than I was already in to begin with. So yeah, so I agree totally that it's better to, maybe sleep on it. And then and then maybe, think about, well, that's probably correct. And so tell me a little bit more about this. What should I do? What should we do? So I think it's better to kind of cool off a little bit.
Yes.
Much easier.
And it happens to the best of us.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else want to comment?
Yeah, can I chime in here? My name is Amanda. I'm from Metro Health in Cleveland, Ohio. People are talking about feedback being hard to take. I also want to bring up that I think a lot of people that are coordinators come from a very different background than the medical faculty and people that we're working with. And it's not just getting used to the feedback, it's the style of feedback. I left a meeting and my program director looked at me and was like, I'm used to getting yelled at all the time that I'm doing something wrong. She's like, you're not. I understand that this is hard for you. So I think it's walking into a world where it's a very different expectation with how people communicate on those things. And to, I guess, also give yourselves grace, like somebody else suggested, and take some time to adjust to it. And also let people know I'm not a doctor. This is not appreciated that you speak to me in this way. Maybe if it had been delivered a different way, it would have gone better. Give them feedback right back.
Love it. And I completely agree with you, because yes, where most of us, I'm not going to say like 99.9% of us don't come from that background of medicine. And and most of the time it's hard for us to get that feedback from somebody who is from that area. Oh my God.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Michelle Stepka. I work with various fellowships at the University of Minnesota. I'm trying to keep up with all the chat and also people's comments, but I also think if you are friends with a fellow coordinator or somebody in the GME office, or very close to your fellows, it's hard sometimes to separate professional comments, business comments versus you know, the friend side. So for example, like I'm really good friends with my manager or my colleague and outside of work, and they say something about like, hey, you know, I noticed this happened, you know, just try and not have it happen again. And it's hard for some people to not take it personally, but I find myself able to separate professional and friendship and not take it personal, but more of a growth opportunity in the professional setting. And if this was already said or in chat, I apologize.
I think from what I'm seeing in the chat, you're the first one to mention that point, and you are absolutely correct. Sometimes friendships get in the way when given a good feedback. All right. Anybody else who wants to chime in? All right. So what are good ingredients for a good feedback? First of all, they are specific. They are case-based because depending on the type of feedback, what is related to. They are concise. They are timely. Again, brings back to the point where Kimberly mentioned that if she received a feedback in her annual evaluation that wasn't addressed before, that, you know, that came in a way past due, and they're actionable because you are able to take action on them almost immediately. And how to improve feedback. So here's another thing. You are giving feedback. How do you know that feedback is working? So ask the receiver to self-assess to make sure that they understand what you told them, and ask that receiver for feedback on your feedback. That way you know if you did it good, if what you need to improve, and so forth. So this is the list of articles that I used in reference for this presentation. I will share those links later on. I want to thank everybody for coming in. Are there any questions, any comments, whatever? Let me be honest with you, this is a family. We are a family of coordinators across the nation. And this is I always said this in our last year with our smaller group, this is a safe space to bring all this in. This doesn't go out here except for the recordings, obviously.
I just want to say thank you. This was amazing. I think a lot of, you know, seasoned coordinators and new coordinators coming in, we can all just help each other. And this is just absolutely amazing. And to have over 255 people on here was, it's needed. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
I am like, oh my God. Anybody else wants? Jordan.
Hi, so I'm Jordan. I'm from the Henry Ford Health Jackson in Michigan, and I'm the psychiatry program coordinator and have been for, I just hit my year mark in August. So it's been a whirlwind. I came in after like ads were due, and we've already had our APE and things like that. And so my program director does like drive-bys, is what I'm going to call them, where she walks by my office and spits out like 1,000 things. And then I try to write down as fast as possible. And then she'll come back and say, hey, did you get these things done? But they weren't on the list. So I don't know how to read her mind per se, and or how to like obtain that information that she didn't release out, or how to make that better. And so it's been happening for a while now, and she's just gotten like used to like trying to explain more in detail at times, but it still happens. So I don't know what else I can tell her or give her feedback to make that better.
Just talk with her from, ask all the questions that you need to ask. There's nothing like no questions, not a lot of questions, like can you clarify on this? I really want to understand that what you're asking is this, or what you're saying is this. I want to make sure that I captured everything. Don't be afraid to do that, because that way they can grasp into the idea. Let me do this, say this another way, or give an example of something, and that way don't be afraid to ask for more clarification.
Okay. Yeah, because it's been like, I'll send out an email per her request, and then she's like, well, why did you send it out like that? Or why did you say it? I'm like, well, that's what you told me to say, but it's not, oh, that's not how you really wanted to say it? Okay, well then I said, well, I need, verbiage that you specifically want then in order to make this happen. And so she's gotten, again, a little bit better with that, but it's still a learning curve for all of us, I think. She's been a PD for the last like 4 years, I think. So she's still kind of grasping that as well, but
yes, but
Can I jump in for a minute? Sometimes when I have folks shoot by, and one of my docs likes to do it on text, which is not helpful because everything else is on email. But when I have folks shoot stuff out at me like that, what I'll do is I'll take it all down, and then I'll write an email back to them and say, I just want to clarify and make sure I got all of the points you gave me earlier when you walked by. Is there anything else that's missing from this list? And then that puts it in writing. It gives her an opportunity to respond, to elaborate on anything she wants. And I found that was helpful.
That sounds perfect. And it's an email chain, right? It's legit.
Yep.
So, okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
Jordan, could I jump in for a second too? This is Linda.
Absolutely.
I do the same thing, except I ask them to send me the email when my residents or faculty or PD, because I can't write fast enough, and so if you, I personally will say, send me an email, give me all the details, give me what you want so that I have it in front of me. I can leave it in my inbox. It's a reminder, and I know exactly what you're saying. So that might be something that you could do, is just to ask her, please put it in an email. And that way she can explain exactly what she needs done. And then you can always, respond and say, okay, well, I need clarification on this point here. So to me, it's just better to have it written sitting in front of me. You might give that a try.
Okay, will do. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
I
Anna.
agree. This is Michelle. I
Okay,
agree
so-
with Kimberly and with Linda, but another way you can turn it so it looks like you're doing them a favor is to let them know that if they they're one of those kinds that has trouble sleeping at night because they're thinking about the things they want to talk to you about. If they send you an email during the night, most people do it from their phone these days anyway. They can send an email. That way it's documented for you, and also they can go back to sleep and know that they have taken care of it. So you can twist it so it sounds like you're doing them a favor.
Thank you.
All right. Anna.
Hi, Jordan. I'm just going to jump in here real quick. I have a program director that did the same thing to me when I first started in this role. So a couple of things for me. I did turn on my recording device so that I would capture all the things. Even though I would ask, she would just kind of shoot off things. So I'm like, it's recorded. I can go back and recollect it if I need to. But then I also would give feedback in written format when these things would continue to happen. So it would come up on her annual eval, but she didn't only do it to myself. She would do it to our division administrator. So again, she's very big on feedback. So when she would see this come up in her evaluations annually, that she was kind of doing this to the admin staff, it started to change. So there's some feedback that she got. So even though you're having these conversations, maybe putting that in written format, it can change and shift the culture there.
Thank you.
Ooh, I don't want the video to go on.
All right. Anna, I'm sorry.
It's okay. My name is Anna, and I'm a fellowship coordinator in Macon, Georgia. I'm fairly new to the program. I haven't been there a year yet. I really appreciate this meeting that we're having because I have learned so much from so many of you. and to be patient and not to get overwhelmed, even though I have been overwhelmed, and I took a personal day off yesterday because I couldn't deal with it. My issue is that my program coordinator for geriatrics is new also, so she really doesn't know a lot about it, and so is my HPM director. He's only been in the position for a couple of years. So I'm trying to fill some shoes and trying to learn from every one of you that has spoke or put any knowledge into it. I'm going to be at any meeting that you all suggest because I need to learn and to be wiser and be smarter and to take every one of y'all's advice. And I just want to say thank you so much for being part of this.
You're welcome. And it's okay for you to say, I need a break sometimes and take a day for yourself. What we do is never easy. We just develop the mastery as we go. And even though I've been doing this for almost 15 years, I still get times where I need to just, go back and refresh memory on stuff that I thought I knew and take time off. So do what you need to do. All right, Crystal.
Hi, I'm Crystal from University of Missouri. So first off, Anna, thank you for kind of opening up about that. I think burnout and communication with our programs in general is exhausting and a learning curve for many. And Jordan, you clearly brought up a very sensitive topic based off of the comments that everyone is leaving. And people are either going through that or have great suggestions. So that's great. I think it's super important to realize that a lot of the people that we work with, and somebody kind of already touched base on this, their forms of communication is usually different than what we are used to. We haven't been going through the schooling that they've been. We haven't been spoken to in a lot of the ways that they have. And so the ways that they are giving us feedback, I mean, they're kind of in the same boat as us as well. Like, we work on giving feedback. They think they're getting great feedback, but they're just kind of unsure of how to present it in a way that we are used to. So keep in mind, our culture is still the same as somebody that's not from here. And so, again, with different levels of training and just different levels of education, different levels of life, they may tell us something that they think is perfectly fine, and us, we could be offended. So for Jordan, I would just suggest that when that drive-by is happening, I saw numerous comments made on follow-up and email, and I think that is absolutely wonderful. I think it's respectful to do that. You are letting your PD know that you are respecting your job and their time, but more importantly, with their time, you're wanting to make sure that what you are sending out based off of what they told you is appropriate. And so then that way there's not the back and forth any longer. And I think it's just a learning curve that they will need to know. If this is happening often enough that they feel like you're either not catching it or not doing the right thing, then maybe they need to understand you're not presenting it the best way. And so again, just kind of communication, and that always goes back to feedback. Thank you for your time. Do you have any suggestions, or can we maybe open up emails or tasks, to-do lists to make sure that you're capturing all these items that they're wanting you to do? And I had so much else, and then it just kind of gone. So this was my first one, and I do appreciate everything and everyone's comments. It's been great.
Thank you. Mackenzie.
Hello, everyone. We are from Parkview Health in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and we're an entirely new GME program. So everything just started this year. And right now we just have general surgery and internal medicine, and we keep growing. So our issue right now is we have great communication and feedback with the PDs and the residents. Our issue right now is the feedback from the GME office. So let's say for an example, this year, we have a few IMGs and the onboarding and getting them over here, we couldn't figure out their social security numbers, the 30 days of being in the US. And I found a workaround. I was like, oh, we can get their MPI number without their social if we mail this in. And the GME office sent me an email being like, Mackenzie, this was not an action item for you. We will not be proceeding with getting an early MPI numbers. So it's always just every idea we have gets shut down. And so that's so hard sometimes because it's not from our PDs or the residents. We're getting kind of toxic feedback from the GME offices. Has anyone else ever experienced this?
Everybody, I think.
So not just us.
No, it's not just us. No. Okay, Mary and then Monica, and then we're gonna close it there.
Okay, hi, my name is Mary. I'm with Jackson Hospital Clinic here in Montgomery, Alabama. We are under the development. We've had our site visit and just waiting for the review committee in October to tell us if we're approved.
Mary, we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you not hear me still?
Just louder. We can hear you just barely.
Can you hear me now?
No, it's kind of a whisper. What's coming out?
I'm sorry.
If you want, put your comment in the chat. I'll read it out loud. I'm seeing a lot of comments here regarding the support from the GME office. Really, there are offices where they're really respectful and really supportive, but there are others where, unfortunately. Okay, so Mary's asking if somebody uses QuickBank for your residents.
Mary, can you tell us what QuickBank is for those of us who don't know?
Oh, it's a board service. Like a question banks.
Question banks. Oh, okay. Yeah, we use TrueLearn. I think Kimberly said her residents do as well.
Okay. All right, everybody. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so happy. Like, I'm really excited if you see me dancing. Yes, I'm really happy that you guys joined us. The session recording will be posted later today. I will resend the evaluation form links and the attendance links via email and via the Academy for Coordinators in Facebook. Please, next month we will have Patrice Riley. Patrice is a fellow coordinator here in Texas who's going to talk about our role as the coordinator if we just paint inside the lines, which in other words, no, we don't. So I hope you join us. Any questions, please feel free to email me, send it via the group. I will try my best to answer as quickly as possible. And I hope to see all of you next month. So have a great rest of your day and your week.
Thank you.